Hello, I am Merkaba18. Today we are going to be working on an operator guide, one of many that are coming in the YouTube channel here. We're going to start with Doc, and then eventually we're going to get through some basic tips on the game itself and some advanced tips, Maelstrom guides, all the different things that relate to Rainbow Six Extraction. This one is going to be a guide on Doc and how to play him in a variety of different situations, what he's good at, what he's not good at, how to manage his loadout, how his ult works, tips to play solo, tips to play with groups, all that good stuff. So let's get started here. But before we get into the actual details, I want to make sure that everybody likes this video. Make sure to comment. Let me know what you think of these, what you would like to see different, what you think I missed. If I missed something or if I'm wrong about something, please feel free to let me know with a comment below. Share this with your friends, and always, please remember to hit that subscribe button. Helps us immensely, and it makes me smile. So thank you so much for that. What I want to start with is advancement, because essentially this is a class-based game, just like Rainbow Six Siege, in which you play a number of different classes that play different roles. So what is Doc? Who is Doc? What does he do? Essentially, he is a ranged revive and health boost class in which he takes a stim pistol and fires it to heal himself at the base level. As you play through the game, you're going to advance his arsenal, and it starts at level 1 with a stim pistol that heals for 15. It will also revive you or your teammates from a distance when they are downed. So if you are downed, you can heal yourself and or revive yourself or your teammates from a distance. And they also, if they are not downed, will heal for 15 anytime there's a shot. His ability does not recharge, so you need to use recharge boxes throughout the map that are available to you. So make sure to get those after, you want to try to use all of the stims before you hit that refresh box. But we'll get into some advanced tips with his abilities here in just a little bit. So as I said, you start with 15 health on the stim pistol. As you get to level 2, the health boost will increase to 20, meaning each stim will now heal for 20 instead of 15. His arsenal then will upgrade on level 3. He'll get access to an MP5 submachine gun and a revolver pistol. He will then have access at level 4 to a speed boost, which is huge for him because he is one of the slower operators. We'll get into that in just a minute. At least at the base level, before this speed upgrade, he is incredibly slow. And so he tends to get trapped a little bit more commonly. He has a harder time escaping. So you, at least until this speed boost, you're going to have you're going to want to be very careful how and where you move. At level 5, you're going to end up with a higher level boost when you revive. So let's say you go down, you revive yourself, or someone else revives you. You're going to start with an additional 30 health once that revive is finished. He then goes into level 6 with a primary upgrade P90, which is a really, really great submachine gun. We'll get into all the loadouts here in just a little bit. Then at level 7, he gets another boost to his potency on the stim shot. It will now heal up to 25, and the shot numbers increase to 4. So instead of 3, you end up with 4 shots, and they heal for more. So as you go down through this, you're going to notice this on Doc and each of the operators. You're going to get a lot of benefit from by leveling these characters. So playing them at level 10 is going to be quite a bit different than leveling them at 1. At level 8 here, you're going to see an increased or a decrease to the amount of damage that the operator takes by 30%, which is huge, 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 huge. And then at level 9, you'll get one of the best guns in the game, in my opinion, in the HK417. Very, very, very good gun. It is a single shot, essentially marksman rifle, but it is great. We'll get into that in just a minute. And then at level 10, you'll get a final boost to the stim shot. They will now boost 30 health instead of 25. So remember, you started all the way back at 1 with 15, and you have 3 pistol shots. At level 10, they are all the way doubled in terms of how much they heal you or your teammate. And now you have 5, so 2 additional shots. So you want to use all 5 of those as you move through the subzones before you hit the refresh ability, just to maximize the benefit of those. But those are advanced tips. We'll get into those in just a minute here. All right, let's go through his loadout. So my preference here is usually the P90 and the HK, depending on your scenario, like who else you're running with, like the kind of encounters you're dealing with. In a normal world, there's almost always going to be a benefit to having the HK. And I personally prefer to have the highest level scope that you can. So you want to try to also have a muzzle brake on most of your guns. One of the best early tips that I can give for this game is take your primary and remove the suppressor and put a muzzle brake or another attachment there, depending on the scenario. Always, I'll probably want to use a vertical grip, and so that sort of ends up looking like that. Here's the reason you want to remove your suppressor. So you go from almost 70 damage to 40 just by having a suppressor on. So you can move around a lot quieter, and the muzzle brake reduces your recoil pattern. So look at that recoil pattern right there on the right. Very, very tight recoil pattern with that on. So there you go. So there's the basic tips. The scenario in which I would use the P90 is probably in like wall to wall, where you're dealing with a lot more enemies at a shorter range. A lot of that is just personal preference. I think the MP5 is a little bit worse. It is a fire rate that is slower, and it is a little bit more damage. But the P90 tends to be my second choice. I almost never use shotguns in this game, and this one specifically is just not very good. It's a single fire rate with a 7-round mag, so it's just inferior, especially compared to the HK. So there's that primary weapon, and then the secondary is just personal choice. I tend to run the secondary P9 so that I can put a suppressor on it. You cannot put a suppressor on the revolver, so if you want to be quiet, use the P9, put the suppressor on it. And that goes for most operators, by the way. If you want to be quiet and have a quiet option, use the silenced secondary. But if you don't care and you're really high skilled and you just want to do as much damage as possible, the revolver is a good choice. All right, so here's one of the things that we're going to get into with each of these operators. Each operator has access to the exact same tech here. Assuming that you've unlocked it, every operator has the same tech options. So with Doc, you want to know one basic thing with him. You don't need a revive kit because he can revive himself as many times as he has a shot available. So meaning if you have a stim pistol available or a stim shot available, you don't have to have a revive kit, because as long as you have one of those, you can shoot yourself and revive. And so using a revive kit, the only way in which that would be beneficial is if you don't have a stim pistol shot. So Doc is great because he can heal and revive other people, but he can also revive himself. And that therefore frees up your gear so that you can use other options. So this really comes down to what you need most within your group. You can really, like, explosive harnesses are some of the best in the game. But there's going to be a separate video going through each of the tech and like different ways in which it's beneficial in different ways. So we'll save that for that video. In this case, what you want to do is essentially not use a revive kit or body armor, because you're already going to take pretty low damage, and you're not going to need to worry about knocks versus KOs and stuff like that, as long as you maintain at least one stim pistol shot in your back pocket. I tend to prefer auto turrets, rush pistols, or explosive harnesses, but if your group also needs a recon drone, go for it. The only one that I would recommend that you never really use is the ammo satchel. It is truthfully one of the weakest kits in the game right now, so just if you can avoid it, don't use it. But that again comes down to what your group needs and what your group has. But there's that. Okay, so there's the basic tips on Doc, the loadout that I would use, and the ways in which I tend to use him. In this case, I'm going to take an auto turret, assuming that we're going to need to do some defense or defend a specific point, and it helps me deal with a little bit more of an Archean rush if I have to. So there's that. Let's get into some basic tips with Doc. He is a support class, so as a general rule, you're not going to want to use him as a like high damage in your face. Now this is assuming your basic skill, assuming that you are starting the game and you're not really familiar with how to play. These are what these basic tips are about. Now, as your skill cap increases and as you play and get more experience in the game, of course, Doc can do a ton of damage. Of course, Doc can do just as well as anyone else in the game in terms of how they play that class. But as you can see here, in the middle right there, his speed is a little bit slower than the average. It's going to be low on the speed, so he doesn't move very fast, but he does take much less damage, and he's able to heal himself and support his team. So you kind of want to play him as a, stand back, let everybody else do as much damage as possible. Let me support them and heal them when I need to. Support them with the range HK, which does a ton of damage and can help in that regard. So I tend to, at least as you're learning the game, very, very slow with how you approach it. Don't get surrounded. Don't get bombarded, which is also good advice generally. But with Doc, especially because of how slow he is, you want to really take it slow and be in the back and try to support your team rather than being a frontline operator. The other thing to keep in mind with Doc is that his stim pistols, it can be a little bit confusing how to use it. So the same button that you would use to pull the gun, to pull your alt out, is the one that you'll need to press again to shoot yourself with it. So a lot of people don't recognize that. You just pull the weapon out and then you can shoot it at your enemy or at your friend, and it will heal them. But if you also then hit the button again, it will heal yourself. We'll get into some in-game footage here in just a little bit so you can actually see what it looks like. But it will heal him beyond what I think it's 30 at max level. And if they are down, if you shoot them with it at range, it will revive your teammate. If you are downed and you have a stim pistol left, it will automatically prompt you on the dialogue, and we'll show you again in game here in just a minute what that looks like. You can revive yourself. One of the big tips with Doc that I can give you at the early stages is make sure your enemy or your teammate is holding still, because you can very easily miss your shots with these stim pistols. That's a very important thing. If you miss the shot and it doesn't hit them, you wasted it whether it hits them or not. So you want to make sure you're fully aiming at them and that they're standing still when you try to shoot them, which is one of the downsides to it. You have to be very accurate and precise if it's in a panic situation. And that's where one of the skill caps come from, is where you're in a panic. There's Archeans rushing you from everywhere. You have to be very precise in how you aim it. And so it requires some practice. Some other things to know, some basic things to know about this ability is that the health that you gain from it will diminish just like a health pack. We're going to get to basic tips at some point in a video. We'll go through all of the differences between white health and blue health. This stim pistol is considered blue health, which means that over time it will start to diminish. So it does add a temporary bonus, but after a period of time, that health will have now gone. So you want to make sure that you're using it and then continuing on as quickly as you can so that health does not diminish too quickly or you're not wasting it. You also cannot use it past the cap, meaning if you have 200 health, whether it's white and blue or fully blue, whatever, if you shoot someone with full 200 health, it's a wasted shot. So you don't want to really do that. You want to make sure that everybody's topped off and you continue to heal people, but don't shoot them if they're already there. If they're already at 200 health, you're just wasting a shot. Now, some advanced tips here. Doc is very precise, as I said. One of the things you want to keep in mind, especially in Maelstrom and some of the end game content, is in the third subzone, no health kits after that, essentially. So Doc becomes a very important operator from 4th to 9th in the subzones. And so what you want to do is continue to top everyone off and then refresh your abilities rather than leaving the recharge box in a subzone. So let's say, how does this work? We'll get some in-game footage here in just a minute to show you. But essentially what that means is you take and you have everybody topped off at 200 health. You've used all of your stim health. Then you go and get the recharge. And then go on to the subzone and continue forward. Let's say one of the ways that you can make a mistake with that is, let's say you're in subzone 1, you've left a health kit behind, you're in a hurry, and you get to subzone 2, you've left a health kit behind and a recharge ability, and now you're empty on your stim shots. Well, you've then taken 5 stim shots, a total of 150 health off the table, and you'll never get it back. So just be careful, take your time with the first couple of subzones, and as you're gaining experience with it, make sure that you're maximizing how much health you have between subzones. And that includes stimming up your partners, stimming up your team, or yourself even, so that you exit a subzone with the maximum amount of health and with the maximum amount of stim shots in your back pocket. The other thing to keep in mind with Doc is that if you do not have a stim shot left, you can't revive yourself. And you will go to knock on the first time that happens, and then you will go to, you will go to DBNO, which is down but not out, on the first time that occurs, and then on the second time you'll be KO'd just like any other operator. So let me walk you through that. In a scenario, we'll get some in-game footage here in just a minute, I'll show you. In a scenario in which you go into a subzone, you go down, you don't have any stims left, you will be knocked, just like anyone else. And then Archaeans, you get rezzed, Archaeans come and continue to not, do damage to you, you go down. If you KO with if you have been knocked once and then go down again with all of these Archaeans and you don't have any stims left, you will then become KO'd, just like any other operator. So a really good advanced tip for Doc is to always try to keep at least one stim in your back pocket, unless you are just healing up and then grabbing a refresh. As you're moving throughout subzones, you just want to be very careful and make sure you have you have at least one stim all the way through the subzones so that you can res yourself if you need to. And that is why Doc becomes an important operator, and it allows you to not have a revive kit or a body armor. So, another couple of advanced tips here. So with, like, let's say, for example, Rook, you can pick up Rook's armor and then you become knocked. So Rook and Doc can overlap, which is why you often don't see them together in Maelstroms. And then, for example, Doc and Finka can overlap because they're similar operators. So in a world in which you have a Finka already, bringing a Doc and a Finka it's not maximizing your potential in terms of what you can do as a group, because those abilities tend to overlap a little bit. So if you have a operator choice and you have, like, let's say a Finka, bringing a Finka, a Doc, and a Rook all together, you have three abilities that overlap in a very similar way, and you're not maximizing your potential. So just keep that in mind as you're choosing operators and as you're picking your group. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into some in-game footage here, and I will show you what this looks like in real life. All right, here we are inside of the game itself. This one we ended up with Biopsy, Nest Tracking, and MIA Operator. There's going to be some in-game footage here, mostly with these operator guides. I'm going to focus on what it is like to play these classes and these operators and how to use their ult and the ways in which their gadgets and such will interact with other players. For the most part, though, we're going to leave the guns themselves, like the HK as you see here. Some of the attachments and the tech are going to be separate videos, so look for those at a later time. Mostly here, what we're going to be talking about is Doc's Ultimate, which is a stim pistol. As you can see, I am playing on the PlayStation 1 here, and you can see some of these stim shots going in. At max level, these are the max level operator guides, so you will see some of the differences between max level and lower levels as we do this. But as you just saw there, we healed ourselves with the stim pistol. You can pull it out using whatever keybind you have, console button you have bound to that alt, and then you can then press it again, and it will shoot your operator with a stim pistol that heals them for up to 30. As you saw there, the first one went in, and then the second one did not heal me above 200 health. And as you can see at the bottom left there, you have 100 base health, and then blue health, you have 100 as well. So here's the difference. The blue health will continue to tick down over time. As you can see there, we have already lost a couple of health. It went from 200 to 98. Over time, that continues to degrade. All the way down to the blue is gone. And then once that is gone, the 100 health is the base health. And that will not diminish until you get hit by an enemy, until you take damage from the environment, whatever it may be. So as you continue to stand around or move throughout the zone, that blue health will continue to degrade. This is one of the things you need to keep in mind about Doc's ult, is that the health that you gain from it is not permanent. The other thing to keep in mind is that Doc's health degrades faster than anyone else's, at least other than like maybe Finka. Finka's goes away after the ult goes away, but we'll get into that another day. So now we are down to 94 health. If we picked up a health pack, for example, the health would degrade slower than it does with Doc. So just keep that in mind. When you shoot yourself with the stim, it will not go above 200, and the health degrades pretty quickly. So you want to make sure you're aware of that and just continue to kind of top yourself off. As I said, you kind of want to use these stim pistols on yourself and on your teammates to keep your health topped off. You can kind of see here that this is a gun itself. It's a stim gun. So in order to heal, let's say we had a teammate out here, you would want to shoot them with it in order to completely continue to heal them. So instead of shooting yourself, you can also hit your teammates with it. The other thing to remember too with this one is that the stim pistol will res. So let's say we had a teammate down right over here. You can shoot them with the stim pistol and it will res them from over here rather than having to come over and manually res them. Now, one tip I will give you is to waste these only when they are an emergency. So like, let's say you're completely clear and no enemies are surrounding your friend, come over and res them. Don't use your stim shot. Only use the stim shot if they are about to go KO'd or if they're in trouble and you can't get to them safely as a quick way to get them back up. So let's show you something else here. We are in the VR training. So let's go find an enemy and I want to try to let them hit me until my health goes down. And then we will see what it looks like to res yourself. So we're just going to alert a bunch of stuff here and throughout the world, intentionally trying to get myself downed. As I said previously here, you will continue to... Let's just let this guy hit us a couple times. You can res yourself as many times as you need to, as long as you have a stim pistol shot. So watch. We go down. We can shoot this guy, stop him from hitting us. And then as you can see in the middle center there, you can use health shot to res yourself. And Doc will res with more health than the average operator. That is one of the perks of playing Doc. So instead of whatever health is the base, you end up with 105. Now keep in mind that will also continue to degrade over time. So now we have no more stim pistols left. And so we can't even push our alt button. It gives us an error. But if you use these ability refreshes, you have 5 again. And that is why I said use these to heal yourself, especially in Maelstrom. Use them to heal your friends. Keep yourself safe, but always try to keep at least one in your back pocket so that you can res yourself if you need to. And that will essentially replace the res kit or the DBNO armor. Now, also remember, these overlap with Finka's abilities and with Rook's armor and such, but that's a video for another day and some more advanced tips. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments below, what operator do you want to see next? What operator should I do next? And please remember to share this video with your friends. Remember to subscribe to the channel and like. Thank you so much, and see you next time.